Welcome back to the Stick 'em Up podcast. Brundy, they did it. The Toronto Maple Leafs have finally fired general manager Brad Treliving. I know Leafs fans have been waiting a while for that. They've also been waiting a while for their coach to get fired at this point, but it looks like that's going to be an off-season issue. Brundy, what are your thoughts on them finally firing Treliving and doing it with a little bit of time left in the season?
Personally, I think it's a great move. They kind of needed to fire him, and yeah, I mean, why wait, right? Like, you know, having a GM right now really doesn't do a whole lot for them, especially considering where they're at.
There's more damage to be done than benefit to be gained, because there is a chance that he recalls a player to the AHL who might have to go through waivers, or something
mhm.
something bad like that, right?
Yeah,
Maybe trade something away just to make a move to save his job that they don't want to trade away for the future. So yeah,
yeah.
I think it's a good move right now for sure.
And the biggest thing with Toronto, obviously, they're gonna have to find a new GM, and there's gonna be lots of candidates to go with. They do need to find a president of hockey operations. Now,
Which
not
they
the
did
same
mention
as
they're looking at.
when Brendan Shanahan was there, because I guess Keith Pelly kind of served as kind of like, kind of overseeing the team. But I
Yeah.
guess he also is doing that for like 7 or 8 other teams I've seen.
I believe it's 6 other sports teams and then a bunch of esports teams. Um,
Yeah,
this
yeah.
this is finally making its rounds. I know Steve Dangle in particular, of notable Toronto Maple Leafs fandom fame, has been beating that drum for a while, that like this guy is overseeing so much shit, like the Toronto Argonauts, all like 3 different teams in esports, football league team, the Raptors. I think he might be part of the Blue Jays, but that might be separate. Like he's doing a lot of shit. This is not something
Mhm.
one person can do, even if they're good at the job. I don't know if
Yeah.
he's necessarily good at the job, but there's too much going
Whether
on.
he is
So
or not, it's irrelevant because he's got so many things on his plate,
exactly,
right?
he
Like,
needs that buffer between him and the general manager, and that would be the president of hockey ops.
yeah,
Then that
and
guy
it's
can
not.
focus solely on keeping the GM in place. And
Mhm.
then when Keith Pelly wants to come in and swing his dick around, he can talk to the president of hockey
Yeah,
ops and be like, "Hey, get me up to speed. What's going on?" So
yeah, and it's not
luckily, it
like
looks
a
like they're looking at that.
yeah, but and I think we can both agree on this, as most people would. It shouldn't be a president of hockey ops the way that Brendan Shanahan was, where he essentially was the GM and calling the shots,
No, it has to
right?
be a
Like
guy
it
who
needs
lets
to
them
be
do their
someone
job.
that exactly. So I think
Otherwise, what's
that's
the point?
what they're gonna do. Yeah, then there's exactly right, and then you just get chaos, which is kind of what's been going on in Toronto. And do I think Brad Treliving is a terrible GM? No. Do I think he was a terrible GM in Toronto? Yeah. I think he made a lot of bad moves, and that's because he likes to be proactive and be on top of things and always looking to improve the team, and that's good for a GM. That I think that's one of the best quality you can have in a GM. But it's bad when they force things to happen,
You force
right?
the
Like
issue
the
and make
the
an
Scott
error.
Lawton trade was a forced trade by Toronto, and they ended up overpaying, and then ended up getting less assets back to move him. The
I
Brandon
think
Carlo
that one
one
wasn't
was
horrendous, just because I think that's genuinely, I think that's worse on Berube than it is on Treliving, because they paid for a third line center and they played him on fourth line wing like almost his
that's
entire
because
time there.
but that's because at least for last season, the team was kind of already set, right? Like they didn't. I mean, sure, does he make the team better? Yeah. Did they need him? No, because you kind of looked at the lineup and it was like, yeah, there was really nowhere for him to go except the fourth line, unless you're taking one of your players that was already being productive on the third line and moving them to the fourth line. Again, Scallon, good player, but they didn't need to make a move for him necessarily.
No, but I think that was them. That was their last gasp, right? Because that was when they were still hyper competitive. They so
Mhm.
competitive that they were willing to not get the return for Marner and instead get whatever pennies they'd get at in the offseason for his signing rights because they wanted to keep him for that playoff run. And I mean, you know, nobody's
Well,
gonna like hearing it,
they
right?
did try to move him,
Game 7 against the Cup champs, nobody else took him to 7, so
but it's not like they didn't
they
try to
got
move
close.
Marner. Like they did try to move Mitch Marner, but Marner said no.
That is true. That is
Like
true. They tried to
they had
move
a
him.
deal in place with Carolina, and it was going to be 1-for-1 Marner for Rantanen, and
That
Marner's
was
like
the
no. And again, I don't blame
that was
Marner
the
for not
biggest
wanting to
thing.
go to Carolina. Like all the
Oh no.
power to him. He earned that no movement, and
His
he had every
his
right to
wife was
stay.
also like 7 or 8 months pregnant at the time they asked him to
Yeah,
move. Like he no.
yeah,
No.
yeah. Like,
That's a
I
different
don't
place, a different country.
fault. Yeah, and it's also Carolina. Just saying. Um, yeah, but for Trilling again, I don't think he did a good job in Toronto,
No.
and I think
There
he,
were a couple bright
you
spots,
know,
but they're few and far in between.
yeah, like there were some
Which
good
can be
things,
said
but
about
the
every GM.
negatives outweigh the positives because
Yeah.
the negatives are just so big and have really impacted the team to where, again, now you're in the spot where team's not good enough to win a cup, not bad enough to be, bottom three and getting a top three pick. And even if you were, you don't have your first round picks. Whether that's this year
Yeah.
or the next 2 years, or regardless, two of the next three drafts, you don't have your own first. And that's a
So
pretty awful spot to be in.
choose one of those seasons very carefully to be bad, which looks like you're forced into it kind of being this one. And you better be good going forward, which
I
is
will
going to be
say,
tough in the Atlantic. It's going to
I
be
am
tough.
starting to come around to your point of view, your position, because we kind of debated on this last couple times we talked about it, but do they suck now and get their first round pick this year, which if they get it, it would have to be top five, or does it go to Boston and then you know you give them that great player, because again, Toronto's probably gonna have a top 10 pick. I'm starting to come around to you of like, yeah, give Boston the first this year because it's pretty frightening. Yeah, the possibility of where Toronto's at now and giving up your next two firsts completely unprotected, whether it's Flyers get it first and then Boston, or then Boston and Philly, regardless, both those picks are gone.
And luck hates this team. There is a
Yeah.
very real chance that, Landon DuPont is the lottery pick that ends up going from like 8th to 1st for Toronto. And then that pick is Boston's. And they
Yeah.
set them up for a future dynasty or something, or at
Yeah.
least a future core piece, right? Like, yeah,
No,
it
it's yeah. I think my final decision on it, and again, might not even happen for this by the end of the regular season. Depends on who they hire as GM, if they do bring in a president of hockey ops, because again, I do firmly believe that you can bottom out this season, you get a top five pick, you get a good player, and you can quickly turn this around. I do believe that it can happen in Toronto, but it depends on who's calling the shots. It depends on who's running the ship there. If
yep.
they go the route of a Peter Chiarelli or something, at that point it doesn't matter. Actually, you're fucked either way if it's Peter Chiarelli. But
Yeah.
yeah, it really depends on who they bring in, and you know they'll need to make a decision pretty quickly on what direction are you going in with this team.
Do you think it is a recycled general manager or a new general manager, whether that's from within or elsewhere? Or do you think it's like, a Doug Armstrong type, the people that are names are going to be floating around that people are going to expect? Because generally people expect the other GMs who don't currently have a job. As soon as it was
Mm-hmm.
made known that because I don't actually think we have it on the docket here, but Dallas Stars extended Jim Nill as their
Yeah.
GM for 2 more years. They did that very soon after Treliving was fired because they were like, we don't want our guy going glory chasing in Toronto. We want to keep him. They immediately
Mm-hmm.
extended him.
Yeah, and to be fair, I don't think Jim No would leave. Like, why would you take
He's
the
built up something
Stevie
pretty
Y
good.
thing of
Probably
like,
not.
yeah, you
But
built up a team that is set for the next, 10 plus years. And
But it's
he's
Toronto.
got amazing scouts in Dallas too.
Toronto
it
might
is
be able
Toronto,
to add.
but
I'm thinking mainly they might be able to add a ton of zeros to that paycheck.
and that
I
is
have
true.
no
But
idea what these guys get paid. Obviously, we know what the players do, but
Mhm.
maybe it's 2 mil versus 9 mil a season or something.
and that is true. And then if you're Jim Nill, it's basically do you go to kind of a dumpster fire that is Toronto right now, or do you know, potentially get multiple cups sticking around in Dallas, right? That's kind of what I think would come down to is what do you value more, the
Yeah,
the winning aspect or the money? And by this point in time, for Jim Nill, I think he's got a good amount of money. It's now let's win something. But
yeah,
I I think Toronto might go the route of for president of hockey ops, someone who's already kind of been around the league for a while and kind of knows what they're doing, and bringing in a new GM, kind of a not a guy that's got like no experience in the league, but someone who hasn't been a GM before,
right.
and give them, maybe it's something like a Doug Armstrong is, the president of hockey ops, and then you bring in a new GM that can kind of learn from him and have guidance from him in, because if
Yeah,
you're Toronto, you whoever you pick is going to be the guy that's just deciding where you go, and then having to navigate that, and probably in for the long haul because it's Toronto, right? They're not going to want to hire a GM and then have to fire him in 2 years and then
they've been in this
repeat this
vicious
all over
cycle
again.
for quite a few years now of hiring a
Hmm.
new GM, waiting a season, firing the coach, new coach comes in, it's not
Yeah.
working, they fire the GM, and it's like we know how these guys work. The GMs hate being told this is your coach. They want to come in and they want a clean slate. They want to hire their coach, whoever
Their
they
guy.
think that
Yeah.
is. And they're
Yeah.
finally he's not Berube's not fired yet, but it very much sounds like Berube's future will be up to the new GM,
Yeah.
which most likely means they'll come in, fire him, put in their guy. Now we got two fresh sets of guys on the case. Hopefully also the president of hockey ops. Like it'll be a much cleaner slate than they've had.
Hmm.
And
And that's what this team needs.
absolutely.
It needs a fresh, kind of start over. Whatever direction that may be, I don't know. But again, because you couldn't just run it back with same GM, same coach, and all that. Like
No.
there needs to be a shakeup,
Yeah.
and this is absolutely how you start it.
I have one name that I'm going to throw in there who, to my knowledge, has not been a GM at any level for teams. Maybe he has in some lower divisions that I haven't heard of. Um, Jason Spezza, I think, could be a really fun guy. Probably not to jump into, the president or GM role right away, but maybe this new coach has him be an assistant GM and he could end up, being a GM of the future or just a side helper. He's one of those guys that he's always hovered around Toronto since his playing career ended, and he's just one of those guys that just has a great mind for the sport. Maybe even he's just in the scouting department. I don't know, but
I do
I think
like
that's a
that.
name to keep an eye on.
I have a very hard time seeing him leave Kyle Dubas.
That's the thing. It would have to be for a pretty solid position. Like it would have to be
Yeah.
pretty enticing, similar to Jim Nill. Like you're gonna have to
Hmm.
make it worth him because he's got a good situation going right now.
Yeah. No, I do like that shout though, and again, we don't know what Toronto is going to be doing or when it's going to happen, so we're kind of just waiting to see what happens. But GM's out the door, coach is probably out the door, and we'll see who's gonna lead him into the future here. Nathan MacKinnon, 50 goals on the season, first player to do so. Might be the only player to do so. We don't know that for sure, but yeah, another incredible season by him.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny because, that's a couple seasons in a row where he's been right up there in goals and everyone looks at him as a playmaker. I feel like a lot of people look at generally the top stars of the game as playmakers unless they're winning rocket after rocket, Ovechkin style, right?
Yeah,
Um but he's a freaking shooter. He is
yeah,
not
he
afraid to
loves
rip the
to
puck.
shoot it.
He's always up there in the top 3 top 5 in shots at the end of each season. Like,
Yeah.
if you're looking at his shots, generally good to take the over. And yeah, 50 goals. I think the second closest is Cole Caulfield at 47.
47, yeah. So it's kind of really come down to a battle between those two for the Rocket.
I think the next few
Yeah,
guys are down at like 43. Yeah. I don't think
yeah,
it's
hovering around
particularly
that, like,
close at this point.
yeah. And with the Avs, it's also worth noting that Cale Makar is expected to miss some time with a upper body injury. Don't know the severity of it or how long it's going to keep him out for, but it doesn't sound like it's a huge level of concern, at least for the playoffs.
Right.
But again, we don't know for sure. That, Colorado's kind of keeping that close to themselves, and I don't blame them one bit, especially when playoffs are right around the corner, and
It's Cale Makar.
you
You
don't
don't
need
want
to
anybody knowing what injury he has.
exactly.
He's the last guy you want targeted. Like,
That's exactly it. So
yeah.
well,
Honestly, if it's only
see what
a
happens.
day-to-day, borderline week-to-week injury, if I'm the coach, I start telling the media like it's just an illness. He'll get over it.
Yeah,
I just at this point, like, I just pretend the guy's not actually injured. He's just taking a personal break, and then
yeah, no,
you don't have to worry
absolutely,
about anyone targeting anything.
yeah,
Unless you're in one of those
absolutely.
markets where those guys get torn to shreds,
And there's some
then
out
it's
there,
even
but
harder.
thankfully, Colorado's not one of those.
Yeah.
But
He's not doesn't sound like he's
yeah,
going to miss any actual playoff time, but he's certainly missing some very important playoff games for me in fantasy. He didn't play again. Cale Makar versus the Vancouver Canucks was a big circle on my calendar for my championship week, and
yeah,
he missed it. And they got beat up by the Canucks for
I
it.
got pumped. Yeah, I got pumped by the Canucks.
Yikes.
I don't look into
Um,
that game too much though. Like I know people are already saying like
no.
Colorado's on fraud watch and first and X. It's like that game really didn't mean
Wasn't
much
that on
to
a
them.
wasn't that on a back-to-back where they put up like 9 or 10 goals on the Flames? Like
It wasn't necessarily. Oh, I mean, games are close together, but it wasn't like an actual
a day in
proper
between.
back to back. Yeah, yeah, day in between. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like
We'll keep an eye on Makar and see what the situation is. But again, for now, nothing. We know nothing. Most people know nothing. Only a few people at the Avs probably truly know what's going on there.
that's part of the fun.
We got a goalie fight though.
We sure did.
We sure
You
did. We got another goalie fight.
you put in the chat that Shesterkin beat the brakes off of Markstrom, and everyone else in the hockey chat immediately just like responded goalie fight with a bunch of question marks. It was so funny. Like in the span of like 20 seconds, you had like 2 or 3 people talking back to you. And
Yeah, because people love goalie fights, and they love me, but more so goalie fights. Um, yeah, Shesterkin versus Markstrom, and yeah, Shesterkin kind of beat the beat the brakes off Markstrom. Probably a good thing because I was kind of worried for Shesterkin there, given how much just bigger Markstrom is and how we've seen times when Markstrom's seeing red, like he can be a bit of a
he
loose
can lose it a
cannon
little
and
bit.
and
Yeah.
and do some things that you shouldn't do, like things that could really hurt someone. So I'm glad we didn't get that. If you're the Rangers, like if I'm the GM, I would have been fucking fuming watching that fight happen.
Just because
It would be
you don't want your star goalie fighting, or
yeah, your franchise player out there, and it would be different if it was like Devils and Rangers, like both competitive teams, fighting for a playoff spot or something. Both teams are ass. This was a nothing game between two rivals that both suck this year, and like the potential of Shesterkin getting really injured. Thankfully, he didn't, but like the possibility in a meaningless game, I wouldn't love, and thankfully that's not the outcome of it. Um, but
I
yeah,
can see that. Honestly, I think I would be more okay with it as the GM in this situation because they know that he's playing 6 more games in the season and then he's done, right? Like if
hmm
you're gearing up for the playoffs and he does that, it's like, what are you doing? You might throw this whole team's chances in the playoffs down the drain if you get, a bad injury.
And that's true. Yeah.
It's one of those things where I feel like goalie fights are relatively safe. Like neither of them are ever throwing huge bombs because mostly because their target is hard to hit because they're basically in this armor, and because
Yeah.
they're wearing their own armor, they can't really throw great punches.
Mhm.
So I feel like unless it's an unlucky hit, you're not going to get a lot of broken noses or broken orbital bones, but that's
That's
the
true.
most that
Yeah.
could happen. I feel like a goalie has so much padding, they basically can't hit their head off the ice when they fall down unless it's a really awkward fall.
Mhm.
Like, I feel like they're generally safer than most other fights, so it's like
No, and that is
it would be
true.
mostly a minor injury if it did happen. So like obviously, if something bad enough happened that it would affect him into next season, that's
Yeah.
any GM would be right to be fuming over that. But
Well, and just more so for the fact that, like, again, Shesterkin's like the franchise player of the Rangers. Like,
yeah.
him and Adam Fox is kind of like, for the most part, all they have. I mean, they do have Trocheck, but I don't know. They seem dead set on keeping him for some reason.
Yeah.
Considering you could have gotten absolute haul for him at the deadline. Um,
This is the
yeah, no, I,
happiest I've seen
I
the
do
Rangers
see
all
what you're
season.
saying though. Yeah.
Did you see the picture that the team took together after the game? They were all
No.
posing and Markstrom or Shesterkin was hitting some tough guy pose and everyone else was like looking at him like it looked like a Greek painting. Like they're all looking at him like he's Zeus or something. And it's like
Mm,
for a team that's had atrocious vibes all season, like that's a squad that's having a bit of fun,
yeah.
which
No,
is
and
not
that's
something that I would have thought we'd get from them this year.
yeah, especially not the Rangers. But yeah, that was our third goalie fight now this season. And I believe it was 2003, they said. It's the most goalie fights we've gotten in a season since 2003. And I mean, what? The Bobrovsky Nedeljkovic fight, that was the first one we got. And that was 5 years ago. Like, it was a 5 year gap between times we got goalie fights. And now we've got three
Yeah.
this season. So they're starting to let the goalies go at it a bit more, which I like. Like, again, like, not
This is
every
what
time a goalie comes down, like, don't always, be like, yeah, go fight. But like, in some cases when the goalie's kind of already made his way down there and they've got a hold of each other, like, just you let him go.
yeah. Like it's one of those things where I just wish that the I don't know, not even the Department of Player Safety, I guess just the refs in general. I just wish could get a little more transparency. The rule book has not changed. They haven't changed the rule book in a good bit now. They weren't allowed last year or the year before or the year before. Now it's okay. I'm
Mm.
cool with it being okay. It's fun as hell, but like what up? Like we're just
Yeah.
we're just randomly deciding things mean more or less season by season. It's one of those things where, this year it seems like we've got a lot less suspensions. Is that just because somebody higher up decided that and make it so? Like nobody changed any of the rules,
Hmm.
so
Yeah.
yeah. A little
You did
transparency would be
mention,
nice, but goalie fights,
yeah, God love
that's
them.
fun.
You did mention the Department of Player Safety, and I guess we should follow up on it. Monday night, NHL Fight Night, it kind of seemed like Radko Gudas did answer the bell, opening face-off in a fight against Max Domi. I
You
didn't like
called
this
it.
one bit. I didn't
You
like this
called it.
one bit. What did I call? Domi?
Well, I guess you not specifically said it. I actually called Domi, but you said, I really hope this isn't a Corey Perry after the Tavares hit fight, where
That's exactly what it was.
he has to fight Foligno just because that's how it goes, but he's pretty defensive and he doesn't throw a single punch. Did Gudas throw even one punch in
No,
that fight
and
with
that's
Domi?
what I hate about it. That's why
Exactly.
this was just dog shit, embarrassing, awful by Anaheim too. Like, it's these are important games, and to put in an injured, hardly playable Gudas,
By his own
to,
admission, injured still.
yeah, like, could hardly skate, wearing a boot, just a liability out there. You put him in so he can, and Gudas really didn't even receive like many punches. Like, it was more body shots than anything.
Yeah.
I didn't like it.
That's how these fights end up, because he's a big guy and he knows how to fight decently well, and he's playing it defensive, and Domi's smaller and he's scrappy, but if a guy's 4 inches taller and 50 pounds heavier and he holds his arms straight out, how the hell are you going to get in there?
What are you going to do? Yeah, so it's like Gudas dropped the gloves, but he didn't throw any punches, didn't really eat any punches, and then he was a liability the rest of the game. And he was targeted the rest of the game because, again,
because the Leafs knew that they didn't get their pound of flesh.
Yeah,
they literally fought.
He took the easy way out, aside from just not playing, which would have been more classy for him to just be like, I'm injured, I can't play, as opposed to going out there and being like, I dropped the gloves. But
why is he trying to appease the Toronto media? He doesn't want to play there. He's with the Ducks. He's their captain. Why isn't he just saying?
Screamed in
he should just be like,
face. I don't think he could go to Toronto at that point.
Like he's just, why is he trying to save face from the media when he could just be like, fuck off, my team's on the way to the playoffs, I'm gonna rest up, you guys enjoy being at the bottom of the Atlantic. Like,
he's had no problem being the villain before. Like, that was his whole personality, his persona in his years in Tampa and Philly and Florida. Why is it now? I mean, maybe it's because he's got the seat, but now he's trying to, be the good guy, even though he deliberately injured and ended Austin Matthews' season. Yeah, why are you trying to be a good guy all of a sudden? Just
it's a very strange look. It's just very weird.
Yeah, you've made this career out of being this dog, type of player, and now you want to be the good guy to appease Toronto media of all places,
right?
Yeah, I just don't get it one bit. And the Ducks ended up losing that game, and I think they would have won in regulation, got the 2 points if they had someone else instead of Gudas.
I will say, Gudas did, because he didn't get beat up in the first fight, he did draw a lot of penalties throughout the rest of the game.
Yeah,
because
and that is
they were
true.
going after him.
That is true.
Which, I mean, being not helpful to your team, drawing penalties, like, he sounds like be a pro. Like, when does that happen before?
And maybe, thankfully, because he was out there, they didn't target a Leo Carlson.
I was going to say
Beckett Seneca, so maybe that's part of it. But again,
that's probably why they kept him in. Halfway through the game, I was like, he needs to fight again, or they're going to go after Seneca or something. Like, I was expecting Pizzetta or Domi, one of those guys, to lose their mind, to be like, fine, maybe on my next breakaway, I fall down and forearm your goalie in the head, like
Chris Kreider style.
Like, who knows what these
Chris
guys
Kreider,
are going to do?
He could have. Yeah.
What do you think about Pizzetta's ejection?
I mean, he shoved the linesman, so yeah, I get it.
Because it looks like he kind of starts pushing him, and the ref tells him stop, and then he backs up, and the guy says go to the box, and he's skating over there, and then a different the head ref comes over and says, actually, he's gone. And that's when he starts getting real mad, because he's like, this guy just told me I was fine, just go to the box. And the other guy comes in,
that's the linesman, though.
Yeah.
Right? Like, the linesman can't, be like, you're done. But if the ref sees like, hey, yeah, you were pushing my linesman, that's, you're done. And thankfully, it doesn't come. Like, if it's the Dennis Weidman thing, where you just full on just bulldoze a ref, like, yeah, get suspended. But if it's a little shove,
which is,
by the rules, you're out of the game, but no suspension, because again, it's a tiny push, right? You're heated. Like, I get that, but
my whole thing is, a guy does that, a team is going to instantly, like, if a guy does what Weidman did to a ref nowadays, by noon the next day, there will be a public thing being like, we are trying to terminate this guy's contract without pay on grounds of, like, they'll find some legal speak for it, right? And they'll be like, we're buying this guy, like, because the Flames went from one of the least penalized teams in the league to the most for, like, multiple seasons, like 7 seasons. Like, the rest were like, oh, we all fucking hate the Flames now. And I don't think Weidman even played there another game after that season, or like the season after, or something like that.
I think he might have played a couple games, but yeah, like, his career was pretty much done at that point. Like,
and they still said nope. He was on the Flames. All the refs hate the Flames. Like,
it also didn't help
if a player does that again, they're gonna cut ties with that player and say, we don't like that guy either. Please don't hold it against us.
Yeah, so. And again, just my last thing again with the fight. I would have much rather seen Gudas, you know, not like a full on KO, but like win the fight against Domi or whatever. Like that would have been better than taking the bitch out of like, yeah, I dropped the gloves, but I didn't get hurt. I didn't hurt anyone. We're all happy. It's like, no, that's not how it works. And if you're gonna not throw a punch, at least eat a few then. You don't have to give him your chin and say, right there, get me. But like, eat a fucking couple punches if you're gonna then. Like, don't, because again, people say he answered the bell. I don't think he did.
It really didn't feel like it. It didn't
without
feel like
hiding of not playing the game. And
if he truly did answer the bell,
that, right?
The Leafs wouldn't have gone after him the whole game. You know, that's the whole point of fighting with 59 minutes and 59 seconds left in the game, that you squash the beef, and he didn't allow it to happen. So,
no, you're 100% right, and I think most people kind of feel that way, but there are people that are kind of like praising Gudas and being like, "Oh, he powered through an injury. What an inspiration!" It's like,
and that's what I was thinking until I watched the fight.
Yeah,
I was like, okay, he fought off the first face-off. Nice, that's what he said he was here to do. And then you watch it and you go, oh, well, not really.
The fucking goalie fight was better. I mean, I guess goalie fights
hard to
are
stand
awesome,
up to it. But as a genuine fight, I mean, both guys got some in. Markstrom got way less than Shesterkin, but he certainly got more than Gudas did.
Yeah, Gudas. Yeah, Gudas dropped the gloves and was like, "I'm gonna hurt a little bit and hit me with a couple body shots, and we're all good." It's like that's not.
People underestimate how easy it is for some of these NHL players to not take any punches in a fight. If they truly don't want to be there, as soon as you've got their jersey held, if you have the reach advantage or even the same reach, if you're just holding them like this, they can't get to your head. They simply can't. So if you don't want to get punched, you won't get punched, probably. At least not in the fight. But
no, you're bang on. MacKinnon Celebrini.
Let's talk about Celebrini.
Yeah, becoming and I guess this can go into our next topic, which is talking about the Hart race. Only the sixth teenager to reach 100 points in a single season. It's pretty impressive.
It's pretty damn impressive. I want to know your thoughts on this. I have a feeling I know what they are. Because you're pretty level-headed about stuff, even when it pertains to your team. But there are some people already saying that MacKinnon Celebrini is the greatest San Jose Shark of all time. He has been very fun to watch. There is a incredible chance, incredible odds that he will be that player. He's not that guy yet, right? 1.8 seasons in. I mean, like, don't get me wrong, he's been important to what they've done, but like Joe Thornton, he probably put up 1,000 points with the club, right? At least close. Like,
yeah, and that's the thing, right? So,
because they're not a team like Minnesota where Kaprizov comes in, plays 3 seasons, and it's like, well, he's already breaking franchise records.
Like, and so there's different ways you can look at it. I'm still undetermined on the way that I am. Because I think Joe Thornton's record, he holds the record with the team for most points in a single season. And I think it's 114. Celebrini's at 105 with how many games
probably,
left do they have?
Probably 8 games left, if I had to guess.
9. They got 9 games left. So very doable to pass Joe Thornton, right? And the thing is like, Joe Thornton had talent around him when he did that. Like Celebrini. It sounds like Sharks got some good players on the team right now, but like Celebrini's kind of doing it all. And the numbers he's putting up is quite impressive. But again, like also different eras. Like, kind of seems like scoring is up quite a bit now. It's still Joe Thornton in my opinion.
And I'm talking about all time. I'm not even talking about single season, because what Celebrini's doing is very impressive. Although I will say, he didn't make Jonathan Chichu a 50-goal scorer or a rocket winner. You know,
it is that absolutely is true.
With
I am still going Joe
part
Thornton,
of the season, playing there, because he did start that season in Boston. But I still think for the next 2 or 3 seasons, it's going to be Joe Thornton at least. Like,
I think by this point next year, it could easily be Celebrini, and I wouldn't be shocked
even if he wins the Hart next year. I don't think he is yet. I think Joe Thornton has too much of a legacy in San Jose for somebody to pass him as the best to wear the jersey without them putting up literally 170-point seasons.
Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that by this time next year, I think Celebrini will. I'm just saying, if by this time next year, if the media and most people kind of start saying he's the greatest Shark of all time, I wouldn't be shocked. Again, would I think that? I don't know. It would have to solely depend. If he comes out next season and drops 160 points, well then obviously, yeah, right.
Now we're talking about it for sure. Yeah.
But again, kind of different players though, right? Celebrini's kind of a do-it-all guy where he can get assists, he can score goals, all of this. Joe Thornton was a guy when he stepped on the ice, didn't matter who was around him, he made everyone better. There's a reason why these great players that the Sharks had, like Jonathan Chichu, Devin Setaguchi, that were so good there. As soon as they were gone, their careers were quickly over, and that's just because Joe Thornton made everybody better. The same way that Sidney Crosby does. You can put him with whoever, and
made Kunitz into a phenomenal player. You know, the Connor McDavid, even Zach Hyman. What's he making? $5 million a year? People thought that was a bad deal when it was signed.
Yeah, Leafs fans are saying he was going to get bought out by year 2, and it's year 2 he was dropping. He was a 60-goal guy. So, I don't think Celebrini's the greatest Shark of all time yet. By the time his
definitely
career is
on
done
the
or even
projection
halfway,
to be that. 100%.
He absolutely will be. Yeah, but people are so quick to kind of dive into that stuff, and I'm always just
exactly.
Why can't we just enjoy it? Why can't we just enjoy what's in front of us? It's the same time as I see Bedard score a sick goal or something, and I'm like, man, this is so fun. He's such a fun player. And then it's all these Sharks Twitter warriors, and they're like, oh, Celebrini clears this bum, and then Celebrini has a great game, and then Chicago fans being like,
yeah,
oh fuck, Bedard would be doing this if he had some talent like Celebrini. It's why can't we just enjoy good players? Why can't we enjoy good hockey?
It's not like you guys even. It's not even like the Sharks Blackhawks have a big brewing rivalry, right?
Yeah, no, but they want it to be because they want to have the better player. It's the same way as
they so badly want Crosby Ovechkin.
Yeah, it's the same. That's where I got the idea for the this or that we did earlier this week, from the Lane Hudson, Matthew Schaefer, because Montreal fans are fucking hate Schaefer. What a shit player, and it's just because people are talking about him instead of Lane Hudson. It's why can't we just enjoy good hockey, good players, good fun young players that are gonna?
He's the reason you have
be the face of the league.
Noah Dobson now.
Yeah,
you should be thank God they won the draft lottery, so they gave us Noah Dobson because he's been gangbusters for him.
It's just I just hate as soon as it's one player, you gotta put down another player to prop up another player. It's
fun to compare players, but
yes,
some people get very competitive.
But you never need to put down a player to prove your point of why this guy's better. It's it's just there's no need for that.
Exactly.
Because again, we'll never live in a world where Bedard's on this Sharks team and Celebrini's on this Blackhawks team.
We'll never know.
So we'll have no way of ever knowing. So it's what? People are just picking fights for the sake of picking fights, and
there's a lot of people
silly
that definitely pick fights about it. 2 fan bases that I really thought at some point they would get rather toxic towards each other. Really haven't, and I'm surprised by it, is the Lightning and the Avalanche, especially after obviously playing in the 2022 Cup Final. I thought for sure it would be one of those situations where there's Bolts fans being like, McKinnon's overrated. Come on, he's not that good. And there's the Avs fans being like, oh, Kucherov's overrated, right? Every time I see either of them mentioned, there's the other team's fans being like, man, that guy's fucking good at hockey. And every time I'm like, damn, why can't everything be that wholesome? I guess it wouldn't be as fun if it wasn't,
I don't mind
Leafs and Habs going at each other, right? But
yeah, I don't mind banter between fans and whatnot. I always just hate that when it's just you got to put down a player to be like, this is why this guy's better. It's
Yeah.
say why your guy's better.
The second
like,
there's
okay.
a Cole Caulfield clip, it's like, I'm going to talk about my goal scorer and why he's king shit and your guy sucks.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah, it's just always, and again, it happens with all fan bases from some people, but
I want to say not even just sports,
yeah,
like
like,
basically everything, compared to
yeah,
TV shows. But
yeah, it's just, let's enjoy what we have, enjoy greatness, and you know, like the
speaking
mutual
of,
respect that the Penguins and Caps fans have, like between Crosby and Ovechkin. It's like, yeah,
yeah,
you appreciate greatness and what these guys have done for the league.
yeah, like that's
I think
all.
every
That's all it
Caps
needs to
fan
be.
can look in the mirror and at the end of the day be like, Crosby's the better player, but doesn't mean Ovechkin sucks. Doesn't mean Ovechkin's a bad player. Like, he's got the most goals all time. He's got another 30-goal season.
Yeah, he's got another one. Is that 20 or 21?
20.
Yeah,
Would have
like
been,
just
but he
ridiculous.
didn't because of the COVID season, I'm pretty
COVID
sure.
shortened
Has
year,
20.
and he might not have got it in the. I don't know if he would have got it in the. What was it? 2012-13 season that was shortened. They played like 58 games. He
Oh,
probably hit 30. Um,
I'll find
but
out.
while we're talking about greatness, we said that we were going to talk about the Hart Trophy race.
Dude, he
It
did. He had 32 goals in 48 games.
was even a Hart finalist that year, because I'm pretty sure was that the year St. Louis won it, or was that the year Malkin won it?
12,
No,
13. He
because
won the Hart that year.
he did win it that year. Okay,
56 points in 48 games, but 32 of them were goals. So he was barely over a point per game.
no,
They won the Hart and the Rocket,
but not the Art Ross.
not the Art Ross.
I believe that was St. Louis season.
Yeah.
Um, for the Hart Trophy this season,
Yes, Hart
we're
Trophy.
basically down. You know what? I'm going to call it a 5-horse race instead of 4, because I've seen a couple of people in the Writers Association, the people who vote on the Hart Trophy, and a couple of them have a 5th name on their ballots, which I thought was very interesting.
Ooh,
Uh,
okay, this is news to me.
so you know what, Brundy? I can imagine you're going to get most of these right, maybe all of them. Why don't you lay out the 5 guys that are in contention for it?
Celebrini, McDavid, MacKinnon, Kucherov. I genuinely, I'm not sure. I think there's a couple guys you could go with for
Very
this.
similarly to Celebrini, he has to carry his team to a playoff spot or he won't get the votes.
Schaefer, Sorokin.
No, although I have heard a couple of rumors about Sorokin getting a couple. I was talking about Zach Werenski. I saw him in a couple people's top 5s when they were doing some pre-voting. And I mean, at this point, he's pretty heavily the odds-on favorite to win the Norris. He's by far the best player on that Blue Jackets team, and they're on a tear right now to try and get into the playoffs. If they make it, I definitely see a world where he should definitely deserve some votes. I don't know if he should win the thing, but
Deserve some votes? Yes. Win it? No,
yeah,
because making that argument is so much easier for uh Kucherov or Celebrini.
right.
It's,
Or
it's not to take
even
away from what
McDavid.
Werenski's. Yeah, I was going to say McDavid with his recent
Uh,
run here. It's
I mean,
got nothing
how
to do
far into the
with
playoffs are they?
with Werenski or to take away anything from what he's done. But I think that sole argument is just so much easier to make for multiple other players. It's either him or Bouchard for the Norris. I'm still in between because you can make solid arguments for both of them, but I really do think it's one of those two. And these
Right.
final few games will probably determine it. Same with the Vezina.
Yeah.
Um, I don't hate him getting some talk about the Hart though. Like, I think the season he's had has definitely
Yeah.
warranted his name to be involved in discussions. Absolutely.
I think he's still on pace to set the franchise record for most points in a season on the Blue Jackets as a defenseman. I
Yeah.
believe it's Artemi Panarin holds the record, and like he's been having an unreal year.
Oh, I guess, yeah, Panarin probably did take it from Rick Nash.
Single
Mm.
season points.
Yeah, I'm so torn on this Hart race, but actually, I'll ask you first. In terms of, because again, it's probably going to come down to three of the four are going to be the finalists. Like, obviously
Yeah.
Werenski's probably going to get some votes. Sorokin and Vasilevsky will probably get some. Bouchard will probably get a couple. But out of like the four of Celebrini, McDavid, MacKinnon, Kucherov, like what's your 1 to 4 right now?
I think at this point I'm pretty solidly set, regardless, because that's what people are going to be looking for. Regardless of playoffs, I think I have Celebrini at 4. I think what he's doing is most impressive out of any of them. Given their age, I think it's the most impressive, but it's not 4 most impressive. It's most helpful to their team, and I think the point gap is just too big. When he was 5 points back of the other guys, I think it was like, if the Sharks make it, how can he not? But now he's like 20 points back of the other guys, and that's a pretty big gap. And if they do make the playoffs, it's still an if. But if they do make it, obviously they would not have without him. But same for Kucherov, same for McDavid, maybe same for MacKinnon. It's hard to tell with that one. So I do think I have Celebrini at 4th. The other 3, it kind of feels like a bit of a crapshoot. It's, if you're really judging by that metric, then I guess MacKinnon at 3rd, but he's right up there in points. He's got a pretty good hold on goals right now.
Yeah.
Like he's got almost 10 more than Kucherov or McDavid. But he's behind both of them in points. So
also true, yeah.
Honestly, it's very, very tough for me between the 3 because MacKinnon's got a better supporting cast, but his team's helping him out, but he's got more goals, and then the other 2 are pretty neck and neck, and they're both instrumental to their team. Like, basically, it's, if MacKinnon runs away with the goals, probably give it to him. If not, whoever wins the Art Ross, I guess. Like, I think they're so close. I guess there is also the fact that, like, I guess I do think McDavid's more instrumental to Edmonton than Cooch is to Tampa. But McDavid also has a lot of power play points. And we know that people like to look at that as a bit of an indicator,
Yeah.
Power play points are good, but if you're not winning in the points overall, then obviously that means the other guys are producing more 5v5 than you. So
yeah,
that's also kind of a wrinkle in there. Like, there's so many ways you can look at it. I've really got those top 3 basically tied, and then Celebrini in second.
Yeah, so the way that I'm gonna do this is I'm gonna go based off the way that they say the award is given and most valuable to their team.
Okay.
Number 1 for me, who I think should win, is Connor McDavid. Probably going to win the Art Ross. And when you look at where Edmonton was at and barely hanging on to a playoff spot, like they were, I think when Draisaitl went down, they were like 1 or 2 points.
I think it was 2
cleared
points
of the next team. Like they were barely hanging on. And that's when you lose Leon Draisaitl. And then they're now 8 points clear from being out of a playoff spot and comfortably in second spot in the Pacific and only 2 points behind Anaheim for first. And you look at since Draisaitl went down, like in that game, McDavid had 3 assists, 1 assist, and then had nothing against Florida, but the team got shut out. Goal against Tampa, 2 against Utah, goal and 2 assists against Vegas, goal and 2 assists against Anaheim. So 2 very big games there against divisional opponents, and then had 1 goal against Seattle. So Utah, Vegas, Anaheim, Seattle, all teams that are kind of in the mix there with Edmonton. McDavid went nuclear, kind of bet by himself against them. So I think McDavid is my 1.
Okay.
2 and 3 for me is a toss-up between Kucherov and Celebrini. And the thing I will say is I hate people using the argument that Kucherov got time off from the Olympics, and so he's more well-rested. I think that's a bullshit excuse because you can't blame a player for something that's out of their control. That's just a stupid argument. The argument I'm also starting to come around to, if you're going to vote for Celebrini, like if people think he should win, it shouldn't matter if San Jose makes the playoffs or not at this point.
Right.
as long as they remain right in the fight. Because if it comes down to it and say the season ended today, to say, oh, Sharks missed out on a playoff spot because LA had 11 more loser points than them, so I'm not going to vote for Celebrini, is just stupid. At that point,
It is really goofy how important playoffs often is to these. Like, you
Mhm.
know, it's been like 20 years or something like that, or like I think more than 20 since a goalie won the Vezina and missed the playoffs. And it's
Mhm.
like, I get it because obviously if you're on a better team, you're going to have better stats, but sometimes there are goalies on bad teams that carry the shit out of that roster. And it's
Yeah.
like down the stretch, it's like they're going to win the Vesna if they make the playoffs. And then they don't make the playoffs and they're third in voting or not even in the final three. And it's like,
Yeah.
what? Because their team didn't put up a few more goals in games 81, 82? Like
Yeah, exactly, right?
that doesn't change
Um
the stats. Like,
yeah, and a week ago Celebrini for me was probably comfortably my 4. But this past week, I mean, the Sharks were
I
the
would say
first team in
he was
NHL
very
history
cold and got quickly hot.
to win 3 games in a row in regulation where they scored the winning goal in the final 2 minutes. And uh Celebrini tying the game against Columbus and then setting up the game winner. Wasn't involved in the St. Louis game, but then against Anaheim, tying it up late with like a minute and a half left, and then getting the assist on the game winner. He's put himself back in the conversation. So
Right.
MacKinnon's 4 for me, and it's not even like MacKinnon's had a bad year, done anything wrong. I think it's just the 3 above them are just more valuable to their team.
Okay.
So I'm probably McDavid 1, Kucherov 2, Celebrini 3, MacKinnon 4
And
is probably the way I have
at
it.
least you have like a system for it, right? You're going right by the
Mhm.
letter of how it's written, and because of that, that
Yeah.
pushes McKinnon down a bit because of how important the other guys are to their team. Like
Mhm.
that's fair, you know.
Like
It's
if it was just given to best player in the league this season, I'm probably going Kucherov, but that's not the
yeah,
way that they give it. So why talk about hypotheticals that don't exist, right? It's
right. It's so annoying. I really wish they would just change it to the best player of the season,
yeah,
like
the league
whoever had the
MVP.
best year. Like
Yeah.
it just makes sense. That's how every other league does it, right? Like
No, yeah, it's
league MVP, not most valuable to their team, because now there's all
yeah,
these weird different circumstances and everything. It's like
yeah.
weird.
But I right now I do think it is a wide open race. Like I still think if
Absolutely.
McDavid goes on a bit of a cold streak, any of them really, they go on a cold streak, they're gonna fall down. Any of them go on a heater and have like back to back 3 point nights, they're gonna jump up. It's again, it's the same as the Vesna. It's a 2 man race. Norris, in my opinion, 2 man race, especially with
The
Makar
the
now out
Vesna
injured.
the Vesna makes no sense for me for betting odds. I don't, obviously because I'm a big Vasilevsky fan, big Lightning fan. He's one of the two with Sorokin in there. So I've been checking the Vesna odds a couple times a week for the past couple of weeks.
Hmm.
And every time one of these guys has a good or a bad game, the exact opposite thing happens to their odds, and I don't understand it anymore. Like Vasilevsky keeps being ahead by a little bit. They're very close. Vasi's got the edge. And then Sorokin puts up a shutout. Okay. He's got to be ahead now. That's huge. And you go and check, his numbers have actually dropped from Vasilevsky's a bit. Then the other day he let in what, like 7 goals? And I was
Hmm.
like, okay, so now the gap's got to have widened a good bit. Vasilevsky, I think, lost a game that same night, but he had like a 9-15 or something. Like he was fine.
Hmm.
I went and checked. Sorokin was now the favorite the next day after getting shelled. He had like a 750. I don't. Maybe it's just a money thing and not the actual
Well,
odds for it. But I
so
was just
so
like
that is the
confused looking
thing,
at him.
right? Is like
It's weird,
it kind of does time to play with the player's performance, but also how many people are betting on them,
right?
right? Like say
Because they're
Sorokin
not
was
putting
a,
up
a
the actual odds
minus.
to win. It's
Yeah.
how to get people to bet on things to make money. They're here for the money.
Yeah, it's kind of a mixture of both. Yeah, like if Celebrini's the plus, well, even at the start of the season, uh, this guy on Twitter said, "Hey, you know what? I believe in Adam Fox." I think his odds at the time were minus, or sorry, plus 3,500. to win the Norris.
That's not
And
horrible. For a
by
guy
the
who just
end of
won
the
it.
day, Fox was down to a plus 1,500. So the odds shifted by 2,000 because so many people were hammering Adam Fox at plus 3,500.
Right.
So they're like, oh, we got to nuke this because we can't have this many people jumping on the Fox train. And then, is obviously not going to win now. But if he did, the sports books would be in shambles from that.
Yeah. That's why
So
that's
it's a little
why
bit of
Connor
both.
Connor
Yeah.
McDavid's odds are always lower
Yeah.
than other people's, because even if he's not in a great spot to win something, people are going to bet
People are
on it.
always
You know,
they're always betting on
anyone from the
McDavid, right?
Habs, anyone from the Leafs always have a little bit reduced from what they should be because, you know, maybe Cole Caulfield is fairly likely to win the Rocket this year, but we know a lot of Montreal Canadiens fans are going to bet on it, so we got to reduce the winnings in case it happens. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, maybe
Yeah.
it's just a lot of that. Just like every time I think I know it's going to happen, I would go and check and it would be the exact opposite, and I felt like I was going crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I think the race is wide open, and it really will determine how the rest of the season goes for
Yeah.
these guys and
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 again,
what they do. And
if Sorokin makes the playoffs with the Islanders, he's on pace to right now, but it's still a race.
Mhm. You also wanted to touch on the Jack Adams as well.
Yes, we were talking about that right before we started recording this episode, and um, we were talking about how it seems like it's a bit of a tied up race, but also there's like 5 or 6 guys that have rumored to be in on the award. Um, the one currently leading the charge is Lindy Ruff, the head coach of the Buffalo Sabres. But there's a lot of other names in there. There's Dan Muse in Pittsburgh, Joel Quenneville with the Ducks. And then there's also Bednar with Colorado, just because they've been doing so well, and John Cooper in Tampa,
John Cooper.
doing well, getting through some injuries. There's a lot more options than there normally is at this point in the
Mhm.
season. Rick Bowness, even,
Yeah.
he showed up and really helped turn around that Columbus team. And if they make the playoffs, he's got a case for it. So
Mhm.
I know we talked a little bit already before we were recording, but what are your thoughts on who should win the Jack Adams this season?
I think it should go to Lindy Ruff. Um, I mean, it is the most basic pick because he's the clear favorite, but I think he is the clear favorite for a reason.
Right.
Just when you look at again, we can even throw it in here when we're talking about the Buffalo Sabres. 5,473 days. But tonight, they have a chance to clinch a playoff spot with a win and get back into the playoffs.
That's so many days.
Such a long playoff drought for them. And again, it's not only that they're back in the playoffs, it's they've already hit 100 points. There's a very realistic possibility that they, not only the Atlantic, they're the number one team in the East. And again, yeah, like you mentioned, for years, and we've been saying like Buffalo's got a good team, but Lindy Ruff's the only one to figure it out there. Lindy Ruff's the only, the one to get results and wins out of this team. And the run they went on, like they had that 10 or 11 game win streak and then lost, and then we're like, oh, well, surely they'll come back down to earth. They just kept on rolling to the point where they had the best 40 game stretch in 30 years or whatever. So he is my pick, but again, like there's so many good options too, like Dan Muse,
Right.
Bonus. I wouldn't even throw Bednar in there because Colorado's just been a wagon, but I'll throw John Cooper in there because he's had to navigate all the injuries that Tampa has dealt with. So
yeah,
I'm
I
still
think
going
I think
Lindy
he's
Ruff
getting
just
some votes because of the injuries, and some people are just at the point where they want him to get a legacy Jack Adams, because
he doesn't have one. Yeah,
it's been a bit of a talking point for about 3 or 4 years now how John Cooper, I think everyone pretty consensus agrees he's at least in the top 3, if not top 2 coaches for basically everybody in the sport, and has been for a bit of time, and he's never won the award. And that's just,
yeah,
every once in a while we get those things that just get parroted, and like that's just been said so many times that I wouldn't be shocked if a lot of people were getting annoyed and they're like, all right, let's get him his fucking Jack Adams, then we don't have to
yeah.
worry about it. Let's get
Oh
Fleury as
yeah,
Vezina, and then he has that on the resume. So
yeah.
But
Yeah.
I definitely think the one who's going to win it is Lindy Ruff. I definitely think that's the way it's going to end up, unless they fall off really hard at the end of the season. Um, but I think he is going to win it. Personally, I think Dan Muse should win it. Um, the Buffalo team, they're way better than they've ever been recently. But we knew that
Hmm.
they had a good roster. They just had to do it. We
Hmm.
all thought that Penguins roster was frickin' cheeks, and
Yep.
are they still in a divisional two
They're still
spot right now?
second in that. Yeah.
Like I never would have guessed that. I thought they were gonna finish like dead last. I thought they were gonna be in the bottom three. And the fact that they're doing this and with the Crosby injury and with the Malkin suspension,
Yeah.
like they've turned it around so much. I'm like, I just feel like it has to be coaching. I don't like their turnaround is so unexplainable compared to the rest of the guys in the conversation. Like
Hmm.
John Cooper helped out with the injuries, but at the end of the day, Kucherov's also going nuclear. Vasilevsky's up for the Vezina. You know,
Mm.
the wealth of talent on that Sabres team, top to bottom, in
Yeah.
basically every position. Uh, it's basically just Crosby. Uh, and now
Yeah.
we know Eric Carlson, who is apparently freaking back in
Yeah.
Pittsburgh. Like,
Yeah. I think Dan Muse is for me. It is kind of a 1A 1B with those
right.
two. I'm still leaning Lindy Ruff just because
And,
he got Buffalo over the hump,
and you
right? And
know,
that's
we have been
something
saying for
no
years,
coaches have
whoever
been
gets
able to do.
Buffalo in, we've been saying for years,
Will
anyone who
win.
gets Buffalo in will get the Jack Adams. So
But the reason
if
I'm
it
going
happens, I'm
Lindy
not going
Ruff
to be
is
upset.
because not only is Buffalo in,
They're thriving.
they could be the first team in the East to clinch a playoff spot. They could be the number one team in the Eastern Conference, going from constantly missing to now we finished the season. We're the top dog. We're the probably not. I wouldn't call them the favorite, but some people might because hey, they're
Some
the
people are
number one
starting to
team.
say it.
And how do you argue that? Yeah, they were the number one team in the East. So if it was a Buffalo like just squeezed in like a game 82, they won and got in or whatever, then you know what, maybe it's not, but it's just the fact of like they're steamrolling their way
Yeah,
into the playoffs and whatnot that I think it's yeah, but I think the votes
that's
actually
fair.
will probably
That's
be
fair.
pretty close between him and Dan Muse because you said it perfectly, not a great roster. Navigating the Malkin injury and suspension. Carlson Letang have missed time with injury. Crosby, and they found a way to do it. What I will
Yeah.
say for Pittsburgh, and we've already talked about this, and we both agree, Kyle Dubas is I think is a lock for GM of the year at this point. I think even if the Penguins like just barely miss
I
out,
think he
I
should
think it's
be.
still Kyle Dubas.
I don't even know if he will win though. Um
I don't know who you go with over him though.
I think they're going to be very boring and they're going to give it to the guy who landed Quinn Hughes and also picked a roster that, while we didn't like it, did win a gold medal, which shouldn't be part of an NHL award, but we also know they factor in that stuff. I think Bill Guerin might just win it out of Minnesota.
I don't think so because
I don't think he should.
his
I think it
his
should be Kyle
deadline,
Dubas.
his trade deadline was ass. And the trade deadline is a big part of what goes into it. And like Minnesota, a top heavyweight, they look at what Dallas is doing, they look at what Colorado, and they kind of shit the bed at the deadline. And I think that plays a part into it. The reason Jim Nill has won the last three is because he kept taking big swing after big swing at the trade deadline. And
I'm sorry, did you say the
it,
last
it, it always,
three?
yeah, I think he's won the last three now. Because
I
he just
mean,
takes big
they've
swing
made
after big
very
swing at the
good moves,
deadline,
but
and
holy shit.
it always
3
pays
GM of the
off.
year in a row?
Yeah,
You'd think he'd have a cup at that point, right?
yeah. So again, I think Bill Guerin's a decent shout, but his resume kind of goes from like the Quinn Hughes trade to the end of the Olympics. Kyle Dubas's
Yeah.
goes from the draft with making the move to get
Bell
Ben
to
Kindle
bell.
all the way
Yep.
through, right? Like it's been a year round gig for him and
Anthony
constantly
Mantha just
making
hit
moves. And
30 goals.
yeah,
Like, they brought in, who is it, Chinnikov?
Chinnikov, yeah, and he's
He's
balling
been
out.
great for that. Like, he's made a lot of fantastic moves. Like,
Yeah. I think it's got. I'll hear arguments for other guys, but no one is going to convince me that it shouldn't be
Yeah,
Dubas. Is he going to win? I don't know, but I'm going to firmly
that's
believe
my
that
biggest
he
thing.
absolutely should win.
I don't know if he will. I'm fully behind the fact that he should. Like I don't even know if Bill Guerin would be in my top 3. I don't even know who else would be in my top 3.
I
Nobody
don't know
else
who
has
else would
done.
be.
Nobody else has made these big sweeping moves where it's like, damn, what a play there. Like I could
Yeah.
tell you some guys who shouldn't be in there, but the only guy I know should be
I genuinely
is
don't know who else I
Dubas.
would vote for. Like if they said, "Oh, we're going to pick you for voting, give me your 5," I genuinely don't know what I would do outside of Kyle Dubas.
Like I'm thinking of so many teams and all of them are either meh or they did really bad. Like
Yeah, like I genuinely have. I can't even think of one other team off the top of my head that I'm
Matthew
like, yeah.
Darsh has done some pretty good stuff in the island, I
But he
guess.
was also like, but
But
he
it's
was. I
but it's
mean,
not
it's
GM of the
easy when
year
you're
good.
when you
He's
jump
been
up and get the
positive.
first overall, right? Like it's
Oh yeah.
because like I don't love the Carson Soucy deal now. It's starting to look fucking worse and worse. Um, yeah, I don't know. I really don't. It's Kyle Dubas or bust for me.
Yeah. It's pretty much.
Team in the East, Ottawa Senators struggles kind of continue. Linus Allmark is starting to really receive a lot of heat from the fan base, and that goes
Boy,
back
is he
to
ever.
their big because I think that was Saturday. Their big, it's a huge game against Tampa, and Linus Allmark decides he doesn't want to play, so they go with James Reimer, lose that game. Allmark's ready to come back, goes in against Florida that, has already ruled out half of the roster for the remainder of the season. They're committed to tanking, and it's 5-0 after the first period, and Allmark gets pulled. And yeah, the fans have turned on him really, really quick.
Yeah. Yeah, it's rough. So obviously it's been bad. We're not saying it's good, but this is how bad it's gotten. Earlier today, I was looking online and there was a post on Reddit, and people were talking about how bad Allmark's been. People were talking about his advanced stats. I want to say people were saying he was 91st out of 94 eligible goalies for like the worst goal saved above expected. And obviously they're paying him 8.5 mil to do that. There were some and to be fair, it wasn't Sens fans, it was mostly Oilers fans saying this. They were saying Ullmark 50% retained for Tristan Jarry 1-for-1. Who says no? In my mind, Ottawa definitely says no to that because Tristan Jarry.
Yeah.
But we're at the point that nobody was telling them to shut up.
Yeah.
So like that alone tells you it's definitely not in a good spot. And Marilinen hasn't been very good for them. James Reimer's been okay, but he's helped them win some games that they might not have if Marilinen was in. But how long can we sit here and look at all the stats saying this is a top 5 team and their goalies just let them down? And
Yeah.
they've gone through like 4 or 5 goalies this year and they're all bad. At a certain point, maybe the model's not seeing something. Maybe there's
Yeah.
a hole in the impenetrable team defense that is the Ottawa
And I
Senators.
mean, it doesn't help that they are down Shabbat and Sanderson. Like that
That's
is
brutal.
tough. Like that is really tough,
Making
especially
a
at
playoff
this
push
stage.
without them is awful.
Does so Linus Allmark, he's in the first year of that extension as well, right? So he's got
Jeez, we're not
this
even
year, and you
into
got 3
2.
more years after this year. I'm trying to see. Um, he's got a full no movement clause.
Of course, you're signing Linus Ullmark. Why would you care to have
Because
any type of
I was,
movement?
yeah. But I was thinking
Surely he'll be good.
if he had like it was just like a no trade clause or something, Ottawa could easily just play the card of send him down to the minors, and if he refuses to report, well, now you've got grounds for a contract termination. But they don't have that.
Right.
So
If he
what do you
went
do
on
with
waivers, like In a world where it's a no trade and they can send him down, he goes on waivers. Do you think anyone claims him?
I don't, because you look at
You
it,
don't think anybody even takes a
8
flyer on a former Vezina winning goalie?
because already 32 years old, 8.25. You claim him, you've got that full no movement now for the next 3 years after this year. And if you've got a goalie where like the Senators have been buzzing all year, the building's been buzzing. You're fighting for a playoff spot, and Allmark says, "I don't want to play." I I think that kind of says all you need to know at that point. And again, Allmark's going through some stuff like all season, and that's totally fine. But I wouldn't take that risk on a goalie where those are like the most fun games players when they're talking is like you're in the playoff fight, you're fighting every night to get back into a playoff spot and hold on to it, whatnot. And your starting goalie just says no. That's brutal. That's
pretty rough.
really tough spot that Ottawa is in, and I've seen people throwing out ideas of what you can do with Allmark. Honestly, I don't know. I don't know if it can get turned around or what. But I would love to hear your idea because I don't know.
I don't know exactly what the return would be. If it would be a lot, if it would be a little. Maybe it has to include a third team to even get a goalie back. But is there anything to the idea that the cap is going up a lot? Is 17 million an insane amount to pay for goaltending? Both your goalies.
Yeah.
What if they are top 3 tandem year in, year out? Is it now worth it?
No, because at the end of the day, that's still, say the lesser goalie's making 7. That's still 7 mil now, not doing anything for you in the playoffs.
Okay,
that's a second line center. That's a top 4 defenseman, right? At that stage,
but you don't have to worry about your goalie or even potentially a goalie injury in the playoffs.
No, but it's easier to get serviceable cheap backups. But I'll hear your thing still, though.
The main idea, and maybe this involves retention. If you can't fix it, they got to move on from him. What if you reunited him with Jeremy Swayman in the place where Jeremy Swayman and Allmark have been fantastic when playing together? He seems like a very emotional goalie. We know how close him and Swayman were. Maybe he's a guy who needs to play with a Jeremy Swayman to keep the vibes up. Do you think there's a world where they retain 3 mil? Now now you're getting 5.5 for your backup, but he's won a Vezina for you in the last 5 years. 13 mil for your goaltending tandem?
I don't hate that if they're retaining. But I think if you're Boston, you got to do your homework and figure out what kind of Linus Allmark are you getting at this point, because it clearly doesn't seem to be the same Allmark that was in Boston. And does it have something to do with because he's just not in Boston anymore? He misses it, hates Ottawa. We don't fully know. It's interesting though.
That specific connection is like the only way I can picture a team wanting to take a flyer on this guy at this point. Mm-hmm. So that's the only thought I have. And I mean, it's not a great situation in Ottawa land, right? Maybe the Bruins can get him for that retained and like really cheap. Maybe it's just they retain on him and you send Korpisalo back, and are they just happy to be out from the contract? Maybe you don't have to pay. Yeah. Maybe it's a 1-for-1 goalie swap, Korpisalo for Allmark, which sounds insane, especially since that trade is how Allmark got there. But like, if it gets them out from under the contract and wipe their hands clean, and if it potentially sets up that incredible goalie tandem back, that's like the only spot where I can see it working.
Yeah, because I'm at this point I'm just at a loss, and I feel so bad for Ottawa fans. Again, you do watch this team that is a good team, doing everything they can to stay in the playoff hunt despite injuries and whatnot. And yeah, when it's a huge game like that and your starting goalie says, no, I'm not playing, it's like, so he's just given up on the team is kind of the way that I took it.
That's almost worse than
kind of throwing the towel in
first period to me. The fact that your $8.5 million goaltender says, I don't want to play tonight.
Yeah.
Like, I guess maybe they came up to him and were saying, "Do you want to play this game or this game? It's a back-to-back. You're playing one." Maybe he just chose Florida. If that's the case, it's not as bad. But like, if they were like, let's gear up, and he says, "Can I please play tomorrow? I don't want to play tonight." That's
From
not
what it sounds like,
winner
it sounds like they
mentality.
wanted him to play against Tampa, and he didn't want to.
Yeah, if they wanted him to play that way and he didn't, then that's rough. Like,
and that's heartbreaking for the players too. To be like, your own goalie at this point doesn't want to be in the fight with you for the playoffs, basically. Like, that's got to be
yeah.
Because again, everything you hear about Allmark is like great locker room guy, great teammate. Like, everybody speaks so highly of him, and that, and so it's got to be tough when you've got a goalie that you know can be good. You know he can win a Vezina. You know he can steal you a game, and you're in the home stretch for the playoffs, and he gives up basically. Like, that's got to be brutal for those players.
Yeah,
especially considering James Reimer has been good, but James Reimer ain't carrying you to the playoffs at this point now in his career.
No. Yeah, so. Allmark on the season is minus 16.4 goals saved above expected. That's third worst in the league, only beaten out by Kevin MacKinnon, who is playing for the damn Canucks, and Jordan Binnington, who, he's also been very bad, but not when he's wearing Team Canada colors.
Yeah, man, that's fucking brutal. Like, even the Sharks
Sergei
goalies
is sixth.
Yeah, well, Florida. Florida's just kind of packed. We thought they packed him, but I guess they decided to just
Saros is seventh. Down Ottawa. I thought he was having a bit of a comeback year. You see Saros, really?
I don't know. But who knows with Ottawa? Well, it's all in due time. I guess we'll figure out where they go, if they make the playoffs, and what happens there.
Would you be shocked if he got moved wherever he goes and turns it around and does better? Maybe he's not a Vezina guy, but puts up a 908 next season, above league average.
I wouldn't be shocked.
All right. I'm thinking there's a good chance he gets moved and has a Stuart Skinner, like, I finally got a fresh start. I'll just play my game. I don't know if Stuart Skinner is going to keep being as good as he has for the Penguins, but it's looking a lot better than he did in the Oilers colors.
Yeah.
Just because I brought it up briefly earlier, I just want to touch back on it. Zach Werenski is chasing down that single season points record. He is currently this season already at fifth all time for most points in a season for the Blue Jackets. One of the ones above is him tied for second. He has 78 points right now. The record is 87. Artemi Panarin in the 18-19 season. So he is back by 9 points. So if he gets doable. 10 to close out the year, that's a franchise record. And looking at the guys below him, Johnny Gaudreau, Rick Nash, Artemi Panarin, to have a better single season offensively than any of them as a defenseman is crazy work. Crazy work.
Yeah. No, he's had a hell of a season, and it's kind of made it clear that he's either, if you want to say top 3, go for it, but without a doubt a top 5 defenseman in the game right now. And that's not arguable. That's just a fact.
Yeah. 3 is arguable.
What's also a fact?
What's a
fact? We
fact?
both said the Detroit Red Wings are going to miss the playoffs. And
we did.
I'm going to throw out some
we wanted
stuff
them
here
to
for
make
you. Yeah, that is true. We did say we want them to, but March 2023, the Detroit Red Wings go 5-9-1. March 2024, the Red Wings go 3-9-2. March 2025, the Detroit Red Wings go 4-10-0. March 2026, this year, the month that just finished, they go 5-7-2. Meaning the Red Wings have won 17 of their last 57 games in March over the past 4 years.
Oh God, that's brutal! Wow, putting all of the records together is diabolical.
They just cannot power through the month of March. I don't know if
They've had
they just
such a
get
bad
burnt
March.
out or what it is, but like that's 4 years in a row where the
Was
month
this
of
the
March
best
costs
one?
them.
Like, was it out of those 4 that you just listed? I think this year was the
Yeah,
best record pretty much they've
five,
had.
7-2 is the best. Yeah,
Oh my god. That's what do you even call that? I mean, maybe it doesn't happen this year if you don't have 2 core center injuries there,
but
but
you also had the rest of the season with no injuries to make
to
up for
build
that.
up, yeah,
Yeah,
maybe they should have been already leading the Atlantic, so when this
when
happened,
Buffalo
they
was rough to
fall
start the
to
year,
wild card 1.
when Tampa was struggling at the beginning of the year, when Montreal was up and down, like the door was wide open for them to gain ground. So when you go on this March skid, you're
They
fine.
they led
Buffalo could
the
have sucked in
division
March
for a while.
and been fine. Maybe
Yeah.
not as bad as Detroit, but they because these teams put themselves in a position where they can have a rough stretch and they're fine. But if you're average all season, you can't afford this, and especially in March when because how far like I think Detroit's like still fighting for a playoff spot. Like they're still in the mix. Yeah, they're only 2 points back,
Yeah.
but you
Yeah,
go
like, they're right in they
500
should be right in
in
there,
the
just
month of March. Yeah,
nobody has any belief that they're gonna do it because the stats you just said, when it gets to this time of year, they
it's
crumble.
it's
I'd love to know what their April stats are for the last few games in April. Like, do they turn
yeah.
it
I'm not
back up?
too
Do
sure.
they
I've only
stay that
seen the
bad?
March ones, but yeah. Well, yeah, we'll have to see kind of what they because again, they're right in it. They're they're tied with Ottawa, Philly, 1 point up on Washington, only 2 points back of Columbus. Montreal, Tampa, and Buffalo, like that's your top three of the Atlantic now. Montreal's gone on a 6-game win streak, so they're in.
Yeah. The Bruins
So
are at 94 points. I don't know. They could get a divisional spot.
the Bruins?
Yeah, they're only
Yeah,
2
no,
points
but I'm
out.
saying like Montreal has, they're in the playoffs because I think I
Oh,
did
yeah,
pick them
100%.
when we did our picks after the deadline. I thought they were going to miss, but they proved me wrong. They've gone on this run and they're in. And Boston's in. Islanders, Columbus,
Gobesh has been
even
huge for them.
Pittsburgh, they're swinging around for that last kind of spot. So I mean, yeah, like there's
Good for the Flyers, man. 86 points. They're right as in it as the Sens and the Red Wings. Good for
but they
them.
shouldn't. I mean, good for them, but like
Uh,
they shouldn't be. They
oh,
they
no,
need
they
a
shouldn't
top
be,
pick,
but
but
out of those 3
it's so
teams, I
Philly.
hope the Flyers make it because it feels like if the other teams wanted it, they would have been in a better
Mm.
spot by this
Like I
point in
love
the year.
Ottawa,
The Flyers,
but
like that's just so much more of an underdog story because like
mhm,
we had them nowhere near this.
yeah. Like, and that's the thing, right? Is like you kind of look at them like I want Ottawa to make the playoffs. Well, I did, but I don't now because they're not going to be a threat because they can't get goaltending. I wanted Detroit to make the playoffs, but at this point, they don't deserve to. So I kind of don't want them to. So yeah, I'm kind of like Columbus would be fun, but if it's not Columbus, yeah, fuck, give me Philly. Philly will put up a fight, like a
Yeah.
Philadelphia Carolina first round matchup.
Drawing
Give me that all
either the
day.
Blue Jackets or the Flyers in the playoffs is such a poison chalice. It's like it should be easy, but
Hmm.
like why would I rather
It's
be
not.
playing the Red Wings then? Why would I rather be playing the Sens?
Yeah,
Like
I'd feel way more
those
comfortable
teams
going
that
up
have the
against the Sens or
magic
Red
are always a
Wings.
little bit extra scary because you
Yeah,
don't know what's going to happen. Maybe you sweep them. Maybe you get swept and people never forget it.
yeah, it's literally a flip of the coin, especially when it could be Carolina. Like because that would be more exciting for me. Carolina versus uh Philly or Columbus, and then okay, give me Buffalo Boston. Give me Buffalo
I want
Boston.
to see Buffalo Boston.
Because we
That's
already
just
know
fun.
Tampa Montreal. I want that round one because that will be a phenomenal series. Probably the best potential. Actually, one of
Outside of the
because
Central.
it's yeah, because essentially
Yeah.
yeah. But like Buffalo Boston, Islanders Pittsburgh, Schaefer versus Crosby, give that to me. Carolina,
Please.
Columbus or Flyers, yeah, either one is entertaining for me. I can't pick because they're two different teams, and I can't decide which one would be more fun.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
the East is looking good though. Like
man.
the playoff matchups are looking like we could get some all timers in the first round.
We haven't had any new teams clinch or be eliminated since the last episode.
None.
Wow.
Buffalo
For
could
sure we'd
tonight.
have at least one more. They could by the end of the
Buffalo
night.
could
That's
tonight.
fair.
Over in the West, I mean, what a fucking shit show. Like, you kind of look at it and, like, top 3 of the Central, that's locked up. Pacific, I think, is locked up again. I don't see LA or San Jose jumping over Vegas. Again, am I a believer in Vegas? Absolutely not. I'm probably the biggest Vegas hater any of you know. But they're going to finish third in that division. Utah, they're going to be fine. I think they'll hold on to wild card 1.
Yeah.
But then you look at it: LA, San Jose, Nashville,
San Jose's
Winnipeg,
made up some ground, dude.
Seattle, St. Louis. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams fighting for wild card 2, all within 4 points of each other. And yeah, Sharks went on. That's what I'm saying. Sharks 3-game win streak, all in regulation, in final, end of the game winning goals.
I'm
So right back
really starting to like my pick of the Jets clawing back into the playoffs. A win puts them tied with the King. I don't care if you think it's going to be the Sharks, Preds, or the Jets. I just don't want to hear people tell me that the Kings are going to be in the playoffs.
And they don't deserve to. They don't deserve to.
They have 19 regulation wins. They haven't won 20 games in regulation out of 74.
That's actually really... Chicago's even got 20.
The Blackhawks have
24.
They have 8 less than the St. Louis Blues. Like, that stat just stands out to me like so much.
So what is it? So they've got 19 regulation wins. So they've got 11 overtime or shootout wins, and 18 overtime shootout losses. Correct?
Right. Yeah, they've won 9 games in overtime. I'm looking at Utah. They have won 11 games in overtime. They have lost 18. That's a lot of games going extra time.
Yeah. Like this team just at this point, 29. Again, like it is Kopitar's last season. It's going to suck seeing him retire, but like this Kings team doesn't deserve it.
No.
They really don't. When you're relying
I want to see Kopitar get there, but just those stats are just damning. This team low-key blows.
Take away half of their loser points. They're now 1 point up on Chicago.
Like, come on.
They're solely there because
1 point up on a team that's minus 53 for goal differential. Like,
yeah, it's
a team that
it's a battle between all these teams, though. Like
at least they're starting to win. At least it's not the same. Like everyone in the fighting for it's losing all the time, because that was really bizarre.
Yeah.
So we've had this conversation quite a few times, and the hockey world has had it just a ridiculous amount, because we want to figure out the best way for the standings to work. I was hearing people were talking about it the other day online about a system where basically you get 1 point for winning, 1 point for losing,
1 point, yeah,
0 points for tying. And basically they do 10 minutes of 3-on-3 overtime. Yeah. And if you score, you win the game and you get your point. If you lose, you get nothing because you lost the game. If it goes to a tie, you are both losers and nobody gets a point.
I don't like ties, though. Ties are weenie.
I absolutely despise ties, but I like the idea of, okay, we're not going to get a point if we lose. We can't run around and rag the puck forever. We have to attack and score to get a point. So, like, I think that would make overtime so much more fun to watch. I still really do hate the idea of ties, so I'm not saying I love this concept, but I do love the idea of not getting a loser point, because it creates incentive to fucking win in overtime. Like, the fact that some guys just want to get to the end of the game is so lame.
I mean, realistically, like the 3-2-1 is the best way to go. You get that extra point if you win in regulation. I think is huge. You win in overtime.
What is the 3-2-1 again?
So if you win in regulation, it basically means 3 points will always be given out in every game. You win in regulation, you get 3. You lose in regulation, you get none. You win in overtime, you get 2. You lose in overtime, you get 1.
Okay. I honestly, over the last decent while, I forgot that the 3-2-1 ran on regulation wins being 3, and I was souring on it a bit because of that, because I was like, well, what is it? An overtime loss is 2 points then? Or okay. So that makes a lot more sense. An overtime loss being worth a third of a regulation win is much better than the half of a win it is right now.
Yeah.
So that probably is still the way to go. And again, that creates the incentive to try and win in regulation and then try and win in
Yeah.
in overtime.
And I think in overtime, you do the 3-2-1, and then you say in overtime, get rid of the shootout. It's just next goal wins. But then you just implement if you have possession of the puck, as soon as you cross the blue line to the other team's zone, you can't bring it back out.
Yeah.
That's going to
just like
force teams to make risky
straight
plays, and
trapezoid
then
rule it. If you bring it out, it's a delay of game penalty. Well, I don't want a penalty. Then you got 100 feet of ice, man. Pass it.
Yeah, because then that'll force, teams to force plays. Maybe the play gets broken up, and then you get that where it's just a 2-on-1 one way. Oh, they didn't score. Oh, a 2-on-1 the other way. Oh, now a 3-on-1, and then like you'll never have overtimes over 10 minutes, pretty much. And if you do, oh, who cares? Oh, it went 11 minutes. Yeah, you got 11 minutes of fun 3-on-3 overtime because there's no puck ragging really.
They have to put a cap on it somewhere because of time constraints with networks and all that. So
yeah, that is true.
They got to at some point, but I definitely think that even if they do that and go to 10 minutes, that cuts down on a lot of the games that need to go to a shootout.
Because sometimes, like, do you think about it, overtime ends and then it's like, oh, now you got to scrape the ice. Oh, and then they don't complain when shootouts go 12 plus rounds. They're like, oh, this is sick.
People love it when those go long. It makes headlines. So
I mean, it's fun, but like again, I'd rather just see games end in overtime. But
yeah,
I mean, shootouts are fun when they go long, but again, it's like, why is it okay for a shootout to go long, but the thought of an overtime going long, oh, that's not going to work for me, brother. It's like, why?
What if you get 10 minutes of 3-on-3, then a shootout, but you get 2 points for an overtime win, 1 point for the overtime loss. Once you get to a shootout, you get 1 point for the win, 0 for the loss.
And the whole 3-2-1 thing kind of revolves around.
No, because then if a team thinks they're going to lose, never mind. If a team thinks they're going to lose in the shootout, like if it's somebody versus the Avs, like somebody against a great team, then they might like pull the goalie to lose in overtime instead of the shootout. You can't have that.
Or if you do the 10 minutes of overtime, then you go to a shootout. It could still be you get the 2 wins for a shootout win, 1 loss, but don't even make it the 3 skaters. Just make it it's already sudden death. Say Colorado, Dallas. Colorado shoots first. They don't score. Dallas comes down and scores. Game over. Colorado comes down first and they score. Dallas comes down. They don't score. Then it's over. There's no because then anything can happen in a shootout at that point. Because some teams, they kind of, if they're playing, they're like, we want the shootout.
Why do they have to do the minimum 3 rounds? Yeah, why? Because hockey's luck based and you can get a fluky goal. But then what are we doing in the shootout, right?
Yeah,
might as well just cut it down to if you score, he doesn't, you win.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
And that would make shootouts more exciting then, I think. Because then
it would make them shorter so you can have OT go 10 minutes, if they want to take some time from one and move it there. They love doing stuff like that. It makes sense in the minds too.
Yeah. Interesting.
In summation, the LA Kings are just brutal at regulation, and I think they deserve to miss the playoffs for that. And I think Nashville has been very good lately.
Yeah, I want San Jose, Nashville, or Winnipeg.
Yeah,
to make it. But the thing is like at the end of the day, who fucking cares? Because you make the playoffs, congrats, you get the Avs
stomped by the Avs. Like
I'm not saying like if the Sharks make the playoffs, cool, fun as a Sharks fan. Awesome seeing back in the playoffs. But I also don't want to see them just go out there to get mopped every fucking game. 4 straight, just embarrassed. I don't know if I want that. If they make the playoffs, am I going to throw $5 on them to win game 1? Yeah, probably. Am I going to lose $5? Yeah, probably.
Hell yeah.
They're in the playoffs, so. Yeah, it's basically just teams fighting for who gets embarrassed in the playoffs, basically. And you know what? Good on them because these teams aren't giving up yet. St. Louis has gone on a run.
It's nice to see
Winnipeg's
the
right back
players
in
don't
there.
give up.
Nashville, yeah,
You know, GMs tank, owners can tank, players don't tank. And
coaches don't
that's
tank
and that's
unless they're
something that's always
specifically
been
told to.
very respectable around the league, that you
Yeah,
don't have players or coaches point shaving or nothing like that.
and
Could you
look at the
imagine the
Islanders; they proved
controversy?
it.
Could you imagine the controversy in a world where game 82 teams, 1 and 2 or 2 and 3 at the bottom of the division are there, and like goalies are like straight up like selling. Like, "Oh,
Yeah,
I slid way out of my," like when you're playing a 5-year-old in mini sticks, but you have to let him score, so you have to like have the world's biggest 5 hole and then fall over.
yeah.
Like imagine a goalie doing that. Like that would be,
Yeah.
every sport would be laughing at you.
That's
So
why
luckily we don't have
the
that.
end of the NBA season sucks
Our
for the
team's
most
just
part because
straight up
yeah,
ass.
teams just straight up tank, yeah, and it's bad. But that's why they've also yeah, it's just not good in the NBA, and I'm glad it's not like that in the NHL, and it's not like in the NBA that the players are purposely trying to tank, but like owners, GMs, coach, like they make sure that their team is going to lose.
It's more blatant than the way GMs do it in the NHL, where they
Yeah,
might get an extra backup game here and there. Maybe this guy gets scratched for management sometimes. Like if
yeah,
LeBron's healthy and you're taking him out, it's like, yo, what up?
yeah. It's like what's going on here. But yeah, that's where we're at with the standings, with everything going on around the league. If we missed anything at all in regards to news or certain headlines or some within the standings, certain stat, you can let us know through any
Tell
of
us
our
what you want to hear.
socials or on YouTube. Um, you guys know the drill, all the usual places. Braden, I don't really have a game plan here for us today, but I do got something that I can kind of do on the fly here for us.
Okay.
I will hit you with a buy or bail, and we'll call
Ooh.
it end of the season or road to the playoff edition or whatever. If you don't know
Okay.
buy or bail is, pretty simple. I give a statement. It's up to Braden and you at home if you want to play along to decide: are you buying that? Do you believe in that statement, or are you bailing on it and it's just too goofy, too silly? You don't like it. Pretty simple. The Buffalo Sabres finish first in the Eastern Conference. This is just regular season.
First in the Eastern Conference.
Currently tied with Carolina for top.
They've been playing a bit closer to 500 lately. Carolina's good. Tampa's right behind them, but we do have a lot of divisional games coming up that people are going to be trying pretty hard for. I'm going to bail on it. I think the Hurricanes probably finish top. I don't
Can't go
know
wrong with
either of
that.
their I don't know either of their schedules, but I know a lot of teams play a lot of divisional teams down the stretch, and if if the Hurricanes still have a game against the Rangers, the Devils, some of the lower down Metro teams,
Yeah,
they'll probably farm a couple extra points.
fair enough. Um, the Winnipeg Jets will make the playoffs.
I predicted it before, and frankly, I'm not sure right now, but I'm going to say that's my tiebreaker. So I'm going to buy on the Jets making the playoffs.
I
I
like
think
it.
I think them versus the Avs, out of all the teams in the mix, are probably the most fun matchup as well.
I think so. Potentially, maybe Nashville, but I'm probably still leaning Winnipeg
Yeah,
over in LA. San Jose, St. Louis, Seattle. Like, yeah, Winnipeg's
good for
the
St. Louis
most
making the
fun.
list.
Yeah, right back in it a little bit. Um, Connor McDavid and Nathan MacKinnon hold on to the Art Ross and the Rocket.
No, I
Mm,
think Nathan MacKinnon finishes with the Rocket. I think Kucherov wins the Art Ross. I thought Kuch was finally done with his Art Ross dominance when he had 17 points in 16 games to start the year, and then he decided to play like prime Wayne Gretzky. And
sure.
whenever I bet against him, he just reminds me he is him. So Odds are against
right.
him. He's down a couple of points. McDavid has an easier schedule at the end. All logic points to McDavid. So I'm going to go the other way.
Kucherov's got a game in hand, though. Could be huge.
He does have a game in hand.
The Toronto Maple Leafs fire Craig Berube before their last game.
No, I'm bailing on that. There's no way they haven't done it already, and they're going to do it during the season. Like, if they would have, they surely would have by now, right?
The Florida Panthers finish in the bottom 5. They're currently only 1 point ahead of St. Louis, and St. Louis is 5th last. The same St. Louis team we were just talking about that's still in the wild card race in the West.
Right.
That St. Louis team.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think the Panthers probably finished bottom 5.
Yeah.
They're a smart organization. They know this season's over. They're going to get as good of a draft pick as they can right before going back to being hyper competitive.
No, we'll throw it out there. We'll see what you think.
Also, they're playing an AHL team plus Kachuk and Verhaeghe right now. Like, all their guys are out.
Despite goaltending problems, Ottawa makes the playoffs. I'll throw that one in there.
It's basically down to which of these 4 teams makes it in.
Dude, Boston's 8th in the league, by the way.
Yeah, wild card 1. Like, it's ridiculous.
It's insane.
They just will not go away. That team will not go away, no matter what happens. They could lose Pasternak and improve next year. Don't know why, but I'm going to say the Senators make it. I want the Blue Jackets to. They've been playing really hot.
Something's telling you Ottawa, hey?
Something's telling me Ottawa, despite the goaltending. I hope Columbus makes it.
What's one more I can do here? What's one more I can throw out here for you? You know Joe Hofer's 2nd in the league in shutouts? Sorokin's got 7, Hofer's got 6, and then a bunch of guys tied at
6
4.
on the Blues?
Yeah.
I'm not saying they'd be willing to give him up, but if Edmonton didn't at least check, Bowman should be fired. He probably already should be, but like, you got to do your due diligence.
Yeah, no, you absolutely do. But that was all I had. Again, I didn't have too many. A couple of those I did on the fly, but that is it for this episode. A little bit of a long one, but you know what? We're on the road to the playoffs, and we had some fun stuff to talk about going on around the league, so we feel it was warranted. If you want to talk hockey, let us know your thoughts on everything going on. I know Braden will be throwing up some polls on the YouTube as well, so you can check those out. Yeah, Braden, a couple big games coming up tonight, this weekend, over the Easter holidays. Final thoughts?
Final thoughts. First of all, yeah, we'll be putting a bunch of different things in for the polls, so go to the YouTube and check those out. Go onto our channel, and under the posts tab, you can find all of them there. We do a lot of voting ones, and then we like to see what people are saying, and a lot of the times we'll bring it up on episodes of the podcast. So if you want your voice heard, go check it out over there. But yeah, I'm excited to see how the games go tonight, the rest of the season, and who do you think? Let us know in the comments. Who do you think should be the favorite for the Jack Adams? Because that's one of the ones where there's a lot of names out there, and you can make a great argument for a lot of them. So let us know who you think. I'm on Team Dan Muse. I know Brundy over there is on Team Lindy Ruff, and I don't think either are necessarily wrong answers.
Neither are wrong. Oh, absolutely. Well said. But that is it for this episode. One final time. Hope you all enjoyed. Hope you all have a good Easter for those of you who celebrate. And as always, we will see all of you lovely people out on the ice next week.